G'day again. So here we are in VR land. We're going to do some algebra at HSC level for Year 12 students. Now these questions you can see here are straight out of last year's 2019 HSC. Okay, so if we look at the first one, we've got 4 minus 3x is less than or equal to 12. Now this is pretty obvious. We just grab a pen and go through it. You're really just going 4 minus 3x less than or equal to 12. That 4 is going to go over there to start with. I mean, there is, depending on how you do it, you can move the 3x over the other side if you want. But let's move the 4 over there. So we're going to take off 4. Take off 4. If we do that, we end up with minus 3x less than or equal to 8. Now this is a multiple choice question, so you're given a bunch of answers, but when you're doing multiple choice, what I suggest you do is don't look at the answer. Just work through it because you're smart enough to know it. Here you're going to divide by minus 3. So if minus 3 goes over here, and you're dividing by it, this sign is going to reverse. So you're going to end up with x is greater than or equal to minus 8 over 3. All right, and that 3 goes there as a division. And this is going to reverse because anytime you divide by minus 1, this symbol reverses. So that's pretty straightforward. Whoop. Don't do that. Let's look at the second one. So the second one is absolute value. And if you're doing an absolute value question, you should do two lots. So 2x plus 4. So when I do it, I usually go one way, two way. So you've got x minus 1 equals 2x plus 4, and then x minus 1 equals, and then turn this whole thing into a negative 2x plus 4, and then solve both of those down the page and you get your two answers. So if we quickly solve this one, add 1 to both sides, so x equals 2x plus 5, and you can add x, take off 5, or take off x, take off 5. So we're going to end up with, if we take off x there, we just have x plus 5 equals 0, so x is minus 5. Pretty obvious. Do the same here, noting that this negative makes that negative and that negative. So you've got x minus 5 equals minus 2x minus 4. Add 2x gives you 3x. Add 1 gives you minus 3. Divide by 3. So you've got these two answers here for an absolute value, and that should be pretty straightforward. Now I've listed this as algebra, but I have included this question here in red. 2 sin x cos x equals sin x, and I've deliberately listed algebra. Now I know it is trigonometry, but your first step here should be thinking in terms of algebra. Okay, so we do this one in red so that you know. So you've got 2 sin x cos x equals sin x. Now I know later on you're going to do your trigonometry, but let's do the algebra. If you look at this and you want to make this true, what's a really easy way to make this true? We'll make that and that, or just make sin x 0. So if I make sine x 0, 0 equals 0 because you've got 2 times nothing times cos x equals nothing. So an initial answer for this, just looking at it in terms of algebra, is, sine x must be 0. So that would be one answer that you can work through and then use your algebra, use your trigonometry to figure out what sine x is. So figure out what x is. And the second step, again using algebra, is to divide by sine x. So if we divide that by sine x, we get 2 cos x equals, divide by sine x, we get 1. Divide by 2, cos x equals a half. And then from here and here, use your trigonometry to figure out what that is. Okay, but I'm just looking at the algebra at the moment. Okay, you got that? So if you make sine x 0, it becomes true. If you divide by sine x, you get this path. Okay, so you've got these two answers. Next one, we've got 3x squared minus 2x, plus 2x minus 1. So for this one, it's a quadratic equation. So you're either going to use the quadratic formula or you're going to factorize. Now this should be pretty easy to factorize just using brackets. Just going 3x and x, because you know this can only be formed by 3 times 1. So 3x and x. This can only be formed by 1 times 1, where one of them must be negative. So you've got 1 and 1. Now one of those two must be negative. The other one's got to be positive. This here is a positive number, and it's plus 2. So you want 3 times positive 1, and you want this bit to be negative. And that's really your first step, and then you've got your solution there. X is 1/3, and x equals minus 1. A bit messy there. Okay, so that should be pretty obvious using quadratic factors and giving the roots of the equation. The last one I picked up is using logs. So you've got e to the 2 ln x equals x plus 6. Here you have to use a log rule or an e rule to start it off, but then it becomes basically the same as that. It's just a quadratic equation. So here your first step would be to go e to the ln x squared equals x plus 6. And here you've just used a log rule, because if you've got 2 ln x up here, that 2 can become a power, and that's just a straight log rule. And then here you're going to use your ELN rule, e to ln or ln to e, doesn't really matter which way you have them round. If you have this ln e of whatever, that is just the value, that equals just that value. Same here, e ln x squared, that equals x squared. Alright, drop that pin, and we'll leave them use black. So this just becomes x squared equals x plus 6, and now you've just got the same quadratic equation, x squared minus x minus 6 equals 0. Factorize that and you get your factors. So x, what times what is 6? So 6 times 1, you're not going to get anywhere near a single number using 6 and 1, so it's obviously going to be 2 and 3. So 3 and 2. This is negative, so one of those has got to be negative, and this is negative, so it's -1. So let's make that one negative, and that one positive. 3 times x is 3x, so it's minus 3x, plus 2x is minus x. That's your answer, or they're your factors. So your answer, x equals -2 and 3, and you're done. So this is just looking at a few questions from the 2019 paper, where you've got to think in terms of algebra. And again, I'm recognising you've got logs there and you've got trig there. Anyway, that's it for today. Have a great day. Let's give Buddy the duster. Go and get it, Buddy. Oh, good catch. That's it. And again, off you go. Okay, I'll see you later.